Joining us now, Hogan Gidley. Hogan, as you know, is in the White House. He is the Deputy Assistant to the President of the United States, and he's also the Principal Deputy Press Secretary to Sarah Sanders. And Hogan with us now, live from the White House. Hogan, always a pleasure to have you on, man.
Oh, man, thanks so much for the time. I do appreciate it, and I hope you're having a good day so far.
Great day. And look, as we've been talking about all week, got at least 30 Democrats that signed a letter during the shutdown, a couple of them three of them in Virginia, as you know, signing a letter saying that upon reopening the government, which the president has done, that the House committee should begin debate and guarantee a vote on the president's request for supplemental border security funding due to the crisis there. Now, in order to have any kind of a compromise, right, people are going to have to work together. We've now seen that in just in Mexico, just south of the U.S. border, busloads of illegals are being dropped off and just walking over. We've seen that over the past 2 days. How does this negotiation stand now, Hogan?
Well, first of all, I'd like to just say that some of the video you just referenced, the people coming across the border illegally being dropped off in those buses, I mean, hundreds of them. This is being reported by CNN and MSNBC. Who'd ever thought that those outlets would actually report fairly and accurately what's actually going on out there, because for so long all they would say is, no, this is a port of entry problem. No one's coming in between ports of entry, which, just rational thought and common sense would tell you is not the case and not the truth. They're now showing this video. So the crisis is getting worse. I think these outlets all showing exactly what's going on is helping these negotiations because, as you know, one of the things the president was clear on was that we do need border security, and that includes a barrier of some kind. And he also said, we will negotiate. The problem is, since before Christmas, Nancy Pelosi hadn't put forth a single plan, a single proposal, a single counteroffer, and no is not any of those things. It's just a refusal to talk. Well, so many of the rank and file came to us, and you mentioned them there in Virginia, Congresswoman Luria, Congresswoman Wexton, I believe, and then Congresswoman Spanberger. And Congresswoman Spanberger actually signed the letter. So she's one of the folks that said, hey, I want to have this vote, I want to have this conversation. And that's indicative of so many of the rank and file who came to us and said, in our districts, we ran and won in Trump districts on some of the same platforms like safety and security. And our constituents in this shutdown, we've been home. They're demanding we not only work with the president, but that we come to a solution on border security. And one more thing, they also ran and won on the fact they weren't going to become Nancy Pelosi's puppet, just like Chuck Schumer has become. And if you play that out, not only is Nancy Pelosi now controlling the minority leader in the Senate in Chuck Schumer, she extensively is controlling the Senate because she won't allow Chuck Schumer to allow any of his colleagues to negotiate with us on this situation as we currently sit.
So basically, as we predicted, we've got this window of, it was 21 days, now it's, 17 days, 16 days, before the money runs out again, and President Trump has said that all options are on, including another shutdown or declaring a national emergency. None of us, Hogan, really believe that Pelosi and her minions are going to negotiate anything. At the end of the day, they're going to say zero money for the wall. And everybody has said, look, there's three components to the southern border crisis: people, technology, and a barrier. And if you take one of those three out, you're not going to be successful. So for the life of me, what is the Democrats and Pelosi's objective here, Hogan Gidley?
Here's the deal, John. You can have a house, you can have a door, but you can't have windows. I mean, just listen to that out loud. You can have a house, you can have windows, but you can have no door. You can have a door and you can have windows, but you can have no walls. It makes zero sense. And for Democrats, they have said multiple times and voted for, as you have played on your show, in 2006 and 2013. And here's the secret that no one's talking about. When Democrats like Nancy Pelosi, not the rank and file, but Nancy Pelosi in leadership says, I would never vote for wall funding, you just did. The continuing resolution that is currently in place that allows us to get to this 3 weeks has funding in it, because remember, it by definition continues the resolution from before, which allowed 1.3 for the wall. So not to get technical here, but this is back pay and then pay for the next 3 weeks is 8 weeks worth of wall funding, which extensively means $211 million was in this last package. So to pretend as though they won't vote for wall funding is absolutely ridiculous. Now, is 1.3 the number we need that Customs Border Protection and the brave men and women along the southern border say they need to protect the American people? No. But the number the president has put forward is more in line with what they want and with what they need. That's what we're trying to get to here, is if it's okay for the Hollywood elite, if it's okay for Congress men and women and politicians and Beltway bureaucrats to hide behind a wall in their own homes, then why can't the average person also have the same level of safety and security from the federal government instead of a federal government that gets in the way of their own home protection?
Well, Hogan, when you saw the pictures of the buses dropping hundreds of people off. I mean, it's just an incredible scene that's being played. Buses coming, somebody paid for them, obviously, dropping people off, and they're walking under the rope or under the wire or stepping over it into the United States, and it's caught on camera. And it's like, where does this, how is this a logical process that anyone can say and say, well, we've found them on a video surveillance. Well, now they're already in. You got to go catch them. If there was a barrier there, they wouldn't have been able to just walk over. I mean, it is an incredible situation the country is in now.
It is, but listen, when they came across, as reported by CNN, these migrants, quote-unquote, similar to other groups of families, these migrants willingly surrendered to border patrol with no attempts to evade or hide from authorities, end quote. The reason they do that is because they know the loopholes in the laws allow us to catch them and then release them. They're not running away from Border Patrol. They know once they step foot into the greatest country in the world, in America, that our laws are so screwed up that it allows them access and availability to things that every American citizen has as well. That's a whole nother bucket to go into. But they're coming across because, as you mentioned, there's nothing there stopping them. If there was steel slats, if there was a barrier, at the very least, it would funnel those people into those ports of entry so that we would have a better handle on just how many people come here. And remember, that's where the population centers of safety and security and patrol are, at those areas. So when they come to the ports of entry, you can now be put into the system. You can now apply for asylum the proper way. When you come across the border in the dead of night, you're dropped off by a truck, which is organized by somebody, we don't know who, but they come in groups of hundreds, as reported by CNN, 242 people, mostly families from Guatemala, which is so sad on its face. They're coming here, and no one has the ability to keep track of them. That's why the barrier is so important.
Hogan, we're almost out of time. I know you have a meeting. I appreciate you being with us. Final question. If negotiation fails, is the president prepared to declare a national emergency and get the military down there to start the construction of a barrier?
The president has said many times that all options are on the table. I'm not going to get ahead of an announcement, but he has talked about the ability he has under the Constitution to declare a national emergency. Look, if it was a humanitarian crisis under Barack Obama, as the president at the time said from the Rose Garden, and the situation's only gotten worse, then you know it's a crisis now. You know it's an emergency now. Obviously, the president doesn't want to shut down. He doesn't want to have to use this particular power that's afforded him by a Constitution. Instead, he wants Congress to do its job and fulfill the duty it swore to uphold and protect, which was the American people. He wants that to occur. It's just a matter of time before we see if these congressmen and women who said they wanted to negotiate and deal on a wall actually come through, and if Nancy Pelosi feels enough heat, even from her own state of California, where there is a wall. I'm still waiting for the immorality claim that she continues to make, if she's going to go back to California and tear down that wall, because obviously her state would have to be immoral by her definition. So it remains to be seen, but right now the president has every option on the table, and he's going to use it to protect the American people because that's what he swore to do.
Hogan, Gidley, I want to be respectful of your time. I know that you squeezed us in. You have a meeting at 9:15. I'm a couple minutes over. I really appreciate you being on today. Thank you so much.
John, thank you so much for the time, and I'll come on anytime you need it.